Welcome to Worldbuilding Notes. In this episode, the king must die. In the second chapter of the fourth volume of The Golden Bough, James Frazer discusses the killing of divine kings. Many cultures throughout history believed their kings to be divine, and sometimes they believed that their safety, or even the safety of the whole world, was bound up with the life of their king. So the king must be very well taken care of, but ultimately, no amount of care is going to prevent him from getting sick or old or both and dying. Even gods die after all, and while people could arrange to catch the divine soul of the dying king as it left his body and transfer it to a successor, what good does that do when this soul has been exhausted and weakened by inhabiting a body in its last stages of disease? And James Frazer wasn't just making this up. In the 19th century at least, the Mangaeans believed that souls of those who die a natural death are left weak and fragile. The Barongo believed that the spirits of young people who died look young after death, the spirits of the old and weak are old and weak, and the spirits of dead babies crawl around on all fours. And in Fiji, old men used to choose to die by self-immolation to prevent their souls from being weakened by old age. And so, in the same vein, the mystic kings of fire and water in Cambodia were not allowed to die a natural death. When one of them would get seriously ill and look like he's not going to recover, he would be stabbed to death. In East Africa, in some tribes of Fazogli, the king had to administer justice daily from under a certain tree, and if he was unable to do his duty for 3 whole days, due to sickness or some other cause, he was hanged on that tree instead. The kings of Meroe were worshipped as gods, but whenever the priests chose, they sent a messenger to the king, ordering him to die. The kings always obeyed this command until the reign of Ergomenes, who, after being told to die, decided to kill the priests instead. And the kings of Unyoro killed themselves by drinking a cup of poison in order to avoid dying a natural death. But sometimes people found waiting for a king to get sick or old to be too much of a risk, and preferred for him to die after a fixed term instead. In Kulakare, every 12 years, the king got up on the scaffolding prepared for him, cut his own body into pieces for a bit, and then cut his own throat. The king of Calicut also used to reign only for 12 years. At the end of his term, he would organize a great feast and then cut his own throat. But towards the end of the 17th century, this was replaced by a new custom. Every 12 years, on the road up from the Tirunavaya temple up on a hill, a tent would be pitched for the king. His army would gather in the plain below, and the road leading from the temple up to the king's tent would be lined by men holding spears. Any man who could get to the king and kill him would get to become the new king. Usually, this resulted in all the challengers getting slaughtered on their way up the road. But in the year 1696, 3 men were killed before reaching the king, but one of them had a 15-year-old nephew who got past the spearmen and inside the tent, where he swung his sword at the king and accidentally hit the lamp instead, after which the boy was killed by one of the guards. And sometimes kings would not risk their lives at all and just up and have someone else die in their stead. Frazer found the account given in Ynglinga saga to be a record of such a practice. Onviol, the king of Sweden, was told by Odin that he will continue to live as long as he sacrificed one of his sons every 10th year. He sacrificed 9 of them, but his people didn't let him to sacrifice the last one, so the king died and was buried in a mound at Uppsala. There you might say, well, that's all well and good, but isn't this a world-building channel? And you're right, it is. The point that James Frazer was building up to by discussing these things would take me a few hundred videos to actually cover and would get very off-topic for this channel. If you are interested in what his point was, you should definitely read his book, it's quite fascinating. But it did have flaws as a work of anthropology. Many call Frazer an armchair anthropologist because he never actually visited any of the places he talked about, and relied on the often very inaccurate accounts of travelers and missionaries. And while rereading portions of the Golden Bough while making these videos, it was especially obvious to me that Fraser has assembled a grab bag of the randomest things from all over the place, and just strung them together in order to weave a narrative that may not reflect anything that has ever actually happened anywhere on the planet. But given the fact that I'm literally out to make stuff up, Fraser's ideas are just as good and just as usable as those of any other anthropologist, and his ideas are definitely one of the more exciting ones. And if, as Fraser says, being a king is often all about being a worthy vessel for a divine soul, and a sick or old body could harm it, then it makes perfect sense to choose your king in a contest where the candidates have to prove their physical fitness. Then the soul of a king gets to inhabit a vessel that is the most worthy of all. So join me in the next video where I will take these ideas and build.